Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for the Knick Season 1, Episode 5, They Capture the Heat. And this episode was, once again, really good. I was really looking forward to this episode, especially because last week's episode was just absolutely fantastic. Last week's episode was just so good. I really loved it. And this episode was good, but it's probably the second best episode of the season. I really enjoyed this episode. Thought it was amazing. I thought there was some really great stuff in it. I just thought it was a really great episode. And one of the things that this episode did very well was we kind of start to see a couple more like different layers of John, and I like the way that they did that. And also the way they put Bunky into the Knick storyline is very well done in my opinion. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how that all works out. Definitely, it's definitely gonna be very cool. So let's just get to the episode. So we start off and we see that one of Bunky, that's the gangster, of course, one of his men has been shot in the leg, and the gangster brings him to a barber, and the barber literally, he doesn't even realize what's wrong with this guy. He literally thought something was wrong with his head, and, the barber has surgical equipment, but he doesn't even realize, like, what's wrong with, the man. He doesn't realize that he's shot in the leg. He's like, well, there's nothing physically wrong with his head, and, so Bunky decides to exert pressure on Barrow to have the patient treated at the Knick because he's not getting anywhere with this guy. It's just like, this guy does not know what he's talking about. He has no idea what he's doing. And it's just like, it's a pointless thing to do. It really is just pointless because it's like, this guy has no idea what he's doing. And I thought that was actually a very funny way to start because he's talking about his head and he can't clearly see if this man is shot in the leg. I mean, Bunky and Barrow storyline, it's always gonna be funny. Always gonna be funny. Bunky's just a very funny character, so you can see that, and I thought that was just a very funny scene, definitely. I enjoyed that scene. So, John is then called early in the morning to operate, and he's like, I don't wanna, whoever this is, I don't wanna talk about right now. He decides to enlist Algernon. Now, Algernon has just finished treating a patient with hernia at his underground clinic, and he's helped him up, basically. He's helped out this guy with hernia, and that was a good scene to see. I think, again, that was really trying to show that Algernon really is the only patient at the Knick, as I've said before, that really knows what he's doing, and I thought that was well done, definitely. So, then we see that Barrow, is able to actually, so, because of Algernon working with John, and I've said this before, I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Every time Algernon works with a patient, they're okay. When he doesn't, it doesn't work out. And we saw that in this episode. It worked very well. I like that they keep showing that because it's true. Whenever he doesn't help a patient, it does not work well. It just does not work out well, and that's just what ends up happening. It doesn't work. So then we see something that was definitely very interesting because luckily to Barrow, they're actually able to save the man and his leg. And John surprisingly congratulates him. He congratulated Algernon at this, and I thought that was good that he actually congratulated him. He said, well done, and it seems like John is starting to appreciate Algernon more as a doctor. That's really what this is showing, and I like that this is showing that because of him doing that, I think really what this is trying to show is that John is sort of changing. We saw a lot of different layers of John in this episode, definitely, and I thought that was definitely very cool. I liked seeing that a lot. So then we see Cornelia. Cornelia, of course, and Spite, they are still, trying to find out what's going on with the typhoid fever. But Spite, honestly, is being extremely crude and very rude and everything. And that's really what, that's her challenge, really. Because he does not really, he's just sort of like a funny character. And he's not really taking this as seriously as he should. While he does care, he's not really taking it that seriously. And that's a problem for Cornelia. She wants to take this seriously. She wants people, she wants to understand what's going on here. When Spite really isn't taking this that seriously at all. He keeps asking, they go to this household staff of a very wealthy family whose boys are afflicted with typhoid fever. And he asks about their bathroom habits, raw food eating, Noli including another mention of ice cream, and just really out there questions, And Spite says the master of the house shouldn't think he's immune from the disease unless it is he has a servant who wipes his ass for him. Now, the head housekeeper meets his obscenity with a level gaze and says, don't think a moment he doesn't, and I really hope that Cornelia, tells him, what, he's doing, basically. I really hope that, she tells him, hey, I don't like what you're doing, I don't like your attitude, I don't want to do this anymore. because he was being very assertive and everything. It is good, though, that she saw him being assertive, because, of course, we need to see her confront her husband about going to San Francisco, which was not in this episode. That was not brought up, which was fine, honestly, because it didn't really need to be brought up in this episode, but that was definitely a very funny scene. I really love the funny scenes between Spite and Cornelia. I like Spite as a character. I think he definitely is very funny, but Spite, really, he needs to get his shit together and not be so... not take this a little bit more seriously, because this is not some little disease that's going to go away. There is no medicine for this. There's no medicine or anything, so this is not something that's just going to go away. We need to find out why this, what's causing this, and Spite doesn't seem to realize that. He just seems to be there just to have fun, and I really hope Spite takes this a little bit more seriously. So then we see, a presentation of the Edison Company. Remember, we saw Thomas Edison on the last episode? Well, that's because that was so we could see the next scene, which basically we see that John and Barrow are asking the board to purchase a state-of-the-art X-ray machine. And the hospital is strapped for cash, but Captain Robertson agrees to buy a machine upon hearing Manhattan Hospital received two from Vanderbilt. So, because of this, they're able to get more money and things like that, and I thought that was definitely good, because they need more money. They can't just have this, small amount of money. They need a lot of money, and I thought that was a good scene, definitely. So, Barrow, meanwhile, is still doing the whole prostitute thing. He actually ends up, though, facultying a whore exchange program between two police districts, and he confesses to his childlike prostitute mistress that he took the money from the hospital and invested carelessly, and basically what ends up happening is that he brings the X-ray debate to Captain Robertson, but the price causes Robertson some pause until it is a Vanderbilt Moss he's buying informs the table that he bought two X-ray machines for Manhattan Hospital. So, Barrow's storyline was definitely very interesting in this episode. It's going to be interesting that Barrow does the right thing when Robertson puts the $3,000, but, because, Barrow's only concerned about money. As I've said before, all he cares about is the moolah, the money. That's all he really seems to care about at this point. So, I really hope that he does end up doing the right thing with this money. I don't know if he's going to, but we'll have to see. So then we see Sister Harriet and Cleary, and of course, I love the way their storyline ended last week. We found out that they were going to partner up in that abortion business. And I like that this episode really, it was very lighthearted with them. It was definitely very funny. They're really good friends. Basically, what happens is they see their first customer need an abortion, but they take the woman's husband out to a bar, and Sister Harriet and his wife, Sister Harriet and his wife decides that at 7 months along, it's too late to go through the procedure. It's just not going to work. They were going to do it, but it's not going to work. So, because of that, they just decided to have a fun time. They were just having a fun time, having a beer after an abortion appointment. And Sister Harriet would not have performed the procedure, even if the mother hadn't changed her mind. She said, I'm not going to perform this. It would not have worked. And it takes up much more of the show's plot than one might expect, but, It definitely is very well done, the way I definitely like that, because she firmly stands for abortion despite her religion and the potential legal consequences, and even abortion opponent Cleary finds some justification for the procedure. And I thought that was definitely very cool, the way that was done, because the thing is, the abortion storyline is still very cool, definitely. It's just as interesting as everything else that's going on in the show, and I like that they've made it just as interesting, definitely. I love the abortion storyline. I thought it was definitely just a really good storyline, definitely. So, then we see Officer Finey Sears. He tracks down Barrow at Bunky's place. Barrow's just got done with his prostitute, and he wants Barrow to faculty a deal. Now, basically, he wants him to facilitate a deal. Now, the deal is that when the cop picks up women for prostitution, instead of taking them to jail, he'll bring them to work for Bunky, and after inspecting the goods Sears has brought with him, Bunky ends up agreeing. So, they now have this new business, sort of. That's basically what's going to happen there. And he's not going to take them to jail, these women who are prostitutes. He's not going to take them to jail, and it's going to be interesting to see if this actually does end up working. I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen there, definitely. It's going to be interesting. So, Cornelia, something else happens with Cornelia. Basically, with as far as Algernon goes, Algernon finds out that he, what ended up happening here? He's near hysterics. He arrives time, he finds out that He has no cause to trust anyone completely except Cornelia. He still learns about a bit of faith when his mother is ill, and Cornelia retrieves him. So he's near hysterics, and he arrives in time to see John's very, brusque manhandling of his mom. He's popping a cyst on her kidney by pulling a belt tightly around her body, and all is well in the end, but the question is, does Algernon show trust in John? Because it seems like he doesn't trust John. He doesn't think that John can successfully perform, something, perform a good surgery, because we see in this episode that he really does not know what he's doing. He really doesn't. Gallinger especially does not know what he's doing. Gallinger especially does not know what he's doing. However, John, it doesn't seem like at this point Algernon trusts John. It seems like he's starting to lose some trust from John. It's going to be interesting to see if he can gain some trust back. I thought it was cool to see that, actually, because for a lot of it, it's been, does this person trust Algernon? But now it's sort of, does Algernon trust John? I think it's going to be interesting to see if he actually does end up trusting John. It's going to be interesting to see, definitely. So then we see Sister Harriet comes in with another case. We see this electric cotsier, and John believes he and Bertie are going to be fast enough to save the patient. He's determined. He's going to, he thinks, oh, we'll be able to save them. Unfortunately, they're not, and just like the first episode, both mother and child die on the table. Now, the last time this happened, of course, Chickening killed himself, and John really wanted to save them. And he didn't. So yeah, he didn't get a chance to really save them, and, that was definitely very interesting when he didn't get, the chance to save them, and it's just, it's really sad they didn't get a chance to save him, because he really wanted to be a better doctor than Chickening, Chickering, and he really wasn't. So, he hears a disciple, then he hears that, Gallinger's infant daughter now likely suffers from potentially fatal meningitis, and, basically, this is because Gallinger, brought it into the home after treating a patient with rat bites and put it into his daughter Lillian. I mean, seriously, that's just, how dumb is this guy? The guy is literally so dumb that he did that. For him to even think of doing that is just, it's so stupid that he even thought of doing that. But, he likely brought it into their home pretty much after that, so basically, we'll have to see what happens there. We didn't really see much after that, but, we'll have to see definitely what ends up happening there. So, then the episode ends with Bertie watching Lucy play with one of the babies in the hospital, and he invites her to spend time with him outside of work, but he's called away to see about a patient. So it seems like Bertie and Lucy might have something going on. However, at the end of the episode, John admires Lucy's bicycle, and she teaches him how to ride a bicycle. It's a very cute scene going on there, because you see that, she really does like him. We've known that she's liked him. And it's just a really cute scene, because it's kind of just like a fun scene, because most times, John's very dark and everything. It was cool to see some lighthearted stuff from their plot, definitely. He's singing this on sidewalks in New York, and he tells her, you're a good teacher, she says, you're a good student, and it seems like they might end up together. But here's the thing. Now we know that Bertie likes Lucy, so we kind of have a love triangle going on here, which is going to be interesting to see what ends up happening there, as far as the love triangle goes. But overall, that's how the episode, that's what happened in the episode. Not as much happened in the episode as last week, but I still really did enjoy the episode. And let's talk a little about this episode. First of all, Barrow. I do not trust Barrow with this money. Barrow is not going to use this money wisely at all. There's no way he's going to use this money wisely. This business, he seems to be okay with. It seems like Bunky's going to be okay with the business, but Barrow with the money, I really just don't trust him with that. Now, as far as Bunky goes, I think he's going to be okay with this deal. I'm interested to see how this deal is going to work. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Gallinger's daughter. I really hope she's saved. I think the only one that's going to save her, though, is Algernon. We've seen that Algernon knows how to save people. He can save people, and he knows what he's doing, while John doesn't seem like he knows as much what he's doing. Also, do you think Algernon trusts John? I don't think at this point he does. I think he sort of doesn't really trust John as much. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't trust John as much. I don't really know what it is there. Cleary and Sister Harriet, it was cool to see them, it was cool to see what was going on there. It seems like, Cleary really wants to help Sister Harriet, and I like that he wants to help her. That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And then as far as Bertie and Lucy and John go, I like this new love triangle we have here, because John seems to be at the point where he likes Lucy and he wants to be with her, but now we know that Bertie likes her as well, so it's going to be interesting to see who actually decides to end up with her. That's going to be interesting as well. And then Cornelia. I really hope Cornelia tells Spite, look, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like that you're being so rude to them. I just don't like it. You're not taking this seriously enough. And we did not see a confrontation with Cornelia and her husband and her fiance, not her husband, but her fiance in this episode. We didn't really see that in this episode, and I'm hoping we see that in the next one because I really want to see Cornelia confront her husband about that. That's something I'm really looking forward to seeing. But overall, this episode was really good. Again, it's probably the second best episode of the season. I know this was a short review, but not too much happened this episode. I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Outlander. So I'll see you guys for that. Actually, no, it'll be for a movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.